for sure this is a quadratic equation, right? Looking at the equation, that's easy to say it's a quadratic equation, and we are given with the graph. We have to find which of the following expression is correct. I'm just waiting for answers for in the chat box. And these all questions that I'm taking on the board, these questions have appeared in the SAT exam, the official SAT exam I'm talking about. So these all questions are fetched from there. Anyone who would like to answer? If the graph of the function fx equal to ax square plus bx plus c is given below, then which of the following expression is correct? Okay, so Ankit has said it's C. Now let's see how to do it in the exam. Okay, so one thing that I was telling you that we have quadratic equation in the exam, and this question is a part of quadratic equation. Okay, now whenever you get any quadratic equation, a quadratic equation can be represented in a standard form of y equal to ax square plus bx plus c. What is a here? A is the coefficient of x square, right? A is the coefficient of x square. And depending upon the coefficient of x square, you can say that whether the parabola or whether the curve that you get from the quadratic equation is an upward parabola or a downward parabola. So one thing is for sure that you have to know about it, that if A is positive, if A is positive, then the curve that you get from the equation, from the quadratic equation, is an upward parabola. Okay, and if A is less than 0, which means if A is negative, then the curve that you get from the quadratic equation is a downward parabola. So first thing, everyone, those who know about it, great. Those who do not know about it, make a note. Okay, so now looking at the quadratic equation and looking at the coefficient of x square, you can say that whether it's upward parabola or downward parabola. So now the graph is already given, so which means it's an upward parabola. So A has to be positive. Okay, so A is positive. Now talking about C here. So what is C? C is nothing but the y-intercept of the parabola. What is C here? C is the y-intercept of parabola. And if you just look at this curve here, so you will find here that the y-intercept is negative, right? This is your y-intercept and this is negative. So A is positive, right? And C is negative. And question is asking which of the following expression is correct. So you know that the expression is talking about A and C. So definitely when you multiply the product of A and C, that is nothing but positive into negative, and positive into negative is always negative. So it is negative, which means A into C has to be less than 0. So which means B is the correct answer, right? So this thing, with this particular question, I think I've told you much about the quadratic equation. You got to know how to find the parabola, how to see the direction of the parabola, how to see the y-intercept of the parabola. So many things. Okay, if you know this, I think you can easily solve this question within seconds, right? So moving on to the next question. If you can look over here, the function is given to you. And the question is asking the function is defined above if k is a positive integer, which of the following could be the graph of the function? Again, these kind of questions you see in the exam. Sorry. So which of the following function you think or which of the following could represent the graph of the function given to you? Look at your function carefully. Guys, what do you think? So the function that is given to you, that is nothing but the factored form of a quadratic equation. Because if you expand it, again, you are going to get a x square term. And because there you have a x square term, it means that's a quadratic equation. And quadratic equation gives you a parabola, right? For sure. Right. Now it can be an upward parabola or it can be a downward parabola, and that depends on coefficient of x square. So my simple question to you is, guys, if you're going to expand this a function, the coefficient of x square will be positive or negative? Just please type it in the chat box. The coefficient of x square will be positive or negative if you're going to expand this function. I hope I'm audible to all. Coefficient of x square, that's easy now. Because if you just need to go and expand this, it will be something like x into x, which is x square. And the coefficient of x square is nothing but 1. So the coefficient of x square is positive, which means if it's a positive, so comparing with ax square plus bx plus c is a quadratic equation where a is the coefficient of x square and here a is 1. So which means a is positive, and if a is positive, it should be upward parabola. So definitely your answer cannot be where you see a downward parabola. So this is a downward parabola, option A. So this is gone. Option B is also a downward parabola. This is gone. It has to be between C and D. Now, this quadratic function is given to you in the factored form, and when the function is in the factored form, you can find the roots. What you can find? You can find the roots. How you can find the roots? All you need to do is just equate each factor to 0. So if you equate the factor to 0, like x plus 3 equal to 0, which means x equal to minus 3 is one of the root. And what is root? Root is nothing but the x-intercept of parabola. So these all things that I'm telling you, might be you have learned it, might be you have not learned it. If not, then make a note of it. Because this is everything that you will be tested on in SAT. Okay, so roots is nothing but the x-intercept of the parabola. And how can you find the root? If the quadratic function is given to you in the factored form, all you need to do is to equate each factor to 0 and you get the root, which means x equal to minus 3 is the root. What is root? Root is the x-intercept. So in option C and D, if you look for option C, the x-intercept is at minus 2. And in option D, the x-intercept is at minus 3. Yes or no? And we have just got to know that the x-intercept or the root is at x equal to minus 3. So D has to be my correct answer instead of C. Are you getting my point? Do you have anything to ask? Please come on and type it in the chat box if there's anything to, or any confusion, any doubt, any cross questions you have. No? Okay, talking about the next question. So this is the question here, and the question says graph of the function are shown in the xy plane. For which of the following values of x does f of x plus g of x is 0? I think this is easy that you can answer quickly to me. So you already have the graph of fx and gx given to you, and it's asking for which of the following value of x does fx plus gx is 0. How many of you are going to give your SAT in May attempt? Is there anyone who is giving SAT in May or planning to give SAT in near future? Because considering the type of responses, I don't think that anyone is quite interested in solving the questions or giving the responses. So I'm not quite sure that if you guys are really looking for SAT in near future or not. Yeah, Niharika, Ankit, Pranjali, Samita. Samita is, I think, joined recently. So Niharika, Ankit, and Pranjali, you are the three guys that is, attending the classes. So just wanted to know from you. Okay, now coming back to this question. So question is like, which of the following value of x does fx plus gx is 0? And The value of x is already given to us in the answers. What is given to us in the answers? Value of x. So instead of looking at the graph and finding that at what value of x both the functions are 0 when added, what we can do, we already have the value of x, we can just take the help of the answers here, right? So let's say I start from option B. So when x is -2, so who is going to tell me what is the value of f of -2? If you take x as -2, from the graph, what is the value of f of -2? So this point is the origin. Origin means 0, 0. So we are talking about f of -2. So this is -1, this is -2. So f of -2, what is the value? F of -2, guys, f of -2 means the value, the y value when x is -2. So the y value when x is -2 on the graph of fx. So this is your graph of fx, which is coming down. Okay. So when x is -2, what is y value? So y value is nothing but, if you look over here, y value is also, this is -1 and this is -2, which means it is -2. Similarly, when x is -2, what is g of -2? So g of -2. So this is the graph of gx, uh, which is a downward parabola. And when x is -2, what is g of -2? So g of -2 is this point, and on the y value is nothing but 2. So if you do fx plus gx, what is fx plus gx comes out to be? That is 2 plus of -2, which is 0. And that is satisfying the criteria that fx plus gx is 0. So which means the correct answer has to be -2. At this value of x, at this value of x, fx plus gx is 0, right? So instead of wondering about and looking for each and every value where it is going to be 0, the sum is going to be 0, what you can do, simply take the help of the answer choices and you can do it easily within seconds. Okay, now coming, one more question is for you on the board. Let's see how many of you is going to answer it. So if you notice here that all the questions that I'm taking is related to the quadratic equation, right? Quadratic equation of parabola. The above equation is a parabola. If a is less than 0, what is the maximum value of y in terms of a? Okay, so I just got one student here, Samita, and she is saying that, yeah, she is interested in SAT. So Samita, do you have any idea how will you do this question? This is a SAT question, let me tell you. I've taken it from one of the official exams of SAT, and this was the question. The above equation is a parabola, and if a is less than 0, what is the maximum value of y in terms of a? Okay, see, the motive here is to solve the question within a minute, because that is the time that you get in the exam, right? If you're taking more than a minute, which means somewhere you will not be able to complete all the questions in the exam, and you need to redefine your approach. Okay, so the proper approach by which we can do this SAT question is that, looking at the equation, it is very clear that it's a quadratic equation, because once you expand it, you get x square term. So it's a quadratic equation, and quadratic equation gives you a parabola. Okay. And parabola can be of two types, which I'm repeating n number of times. It can be upward parabola or it can be a downward parabola. And the shape of the parabola, upward or downward, that depends on the coefficient of x square. So in this question here, if you're just gonna see that what is the coefficient of x square, if you expand this, if you expanded this a bit, you see that it is gonna be y equal to ax square, something like this. So the coefficient of x square is a, and it is given to us as a is less than 0, which means a is less than 0. If a is less than 0, it will be a downward parabola, a downward parabola. So which means your parabola will be like this. Okay, a downward parabola. Now, this equation is given to you in the factored form. Okay, and when the equation is given to you in the factored form, what you can find? You can find the roots, right? So if I ask you what are the roots of this equation? So the roots are x equal to -3 and x equal to 7. All you need to do is just to put each factor to 0. You have to equate each factor to 0 and you get the roots. And what is root? We have just talked about in the initial questions that root is nothing but the x-intercept of parabola, right? So which means if I were to make a rough graph over here, the parabola will have a x-intercept of -3 and 7, and it will be definitely a downward parabola. So it will be something like this. Okay, I'm just making a rough sketch. Downward parabola with the x-intercept like this. And the question is talking about the maximum value. Guys, here you have to come. It is talking about the maximum value. So where the maximum value you see? The maximum value is lying over here, which is called the vertex of the parabola. And the vertex coordinate is given by h comma k. So all you need to do in order to find the maximum value, you have to find the vertex of the parabola. And every parabola is symmetric about the vertex. It is symmetric. Okay. So which means the x coordinate of the vertex is nothing but the midpoint of this roots. So how do you find the midpoints? Midpoint is x1 plus x2 divided by 2. So here it is going to be -3 plus 7 divided by 2, which is 4 by 2. That's 2. So which means the x coordinate of the vertex is 2. All you need to do is to find the y coordinate of the vertex in order to find the maximum value. Okay. And in order to find the y coordinate, which gives you the maximum value, all you need to do is to put this x coordinate back into the equation. So once you put x coordinate as 2 here into the equation, can you tell me what is the y value you get? It's going to be a times 2 plus 3, 5. And this is going to be 2 minus 7, which is -5. Right? So y is nothing but -5 into 5, which is -25a. So the maximum value is nothing but the y value, and that is coming out to be -25a in terms of a. So option is C. So Smita, you were saying option A, I think, and Pranjali, you were saying option B. But I hope now, after this all detailed discussion, you found that how to do the questions which are asking you for the maximum value or the minimum value, right? So, with the help of this question, you got to know about the vertex of the parabola, how to find the vertex, what are the roots. Roots are the x-intercept, and vertex is always the midpoint of the x-intercept. So something like that you got to know, right? So SAT is a kind of exam where you don't need to mug up the formula every time. It's more about being logical and solving the questions within seconds. But this all explanation that I have given, we teach you in this way in the class. Once you are aware with the explanation, once you are aware with each and every detailed point, then you apply the tips and trick within seconds. All right. So this is how we teach you in the classes. Now, before I move on, I think my colleague has, my colleague Ume has to say something to you. So yeah, Ume, you can please come on.
Yes, sir. Yes, absolutely. Okay. All right, I think we can move to the next slide. Also, guys, meanwhile, how's everyone doing? Are you liking the masterclass? Are you, is it helpful? Are you understanding stuff? Let me know in the chat box. Meanwhile, I'll just, brush up what we provide in our courses, right? I think that's why you should choose Leap Scholar exactly. So we have 40 hours of classes. That is 25 live sessions with 1.5 hours each. We have 10,000 plus practice questions that are waiting for you to be solved and one-on-one doubt solving. So what better way to actually start preparing for your SATs with 10,000 questions and one-on-one doubt solving? Like, you must be seeing the masterclass, sir is solving every doubt that pops up in your head, isn't it? So I think I don't have to talk much about it when, the proof is right in front of you. And moving on to the next slide. So I figured, yes. So personalized revision session. So the one thing that we're very, very proud of is that before every attempt, we sit with our students, our faculty sit with our students, and we give personalized revision session based on, the concepts that they have to brush up on. What are your strengths, weaknesses, how to further improve on those. It's very important when you track progress, and the faculty is going to be there tracking your progress throughout it. So personalized revision session before an attempt is going to make sure that you achieve your dream score, and that's something that we can guarantee. I don't think anyone else in the market can guarantee that with live personalized learning and experienced faculty, right? So you must be having doubts, like, why there are like a lot of videos in the market that you all can just see and, like self-prepare for SATs. But is it really going to be very helpful to improve your score? I am not sure about that, because when it's live in front of you, when it's personalized, when you're sitting with the faculty and you're actually trading, like, for example, today's masterclass is the best example for it. You're actually learning, you're actually conversing. I think that is unmatched. Moving on to the next slide. And 30 plus mock tests with detailed feedback. So we don't have one, we don't have two, but we don't have three, but we have 30 plus mock tests. I don't think you'll find this anywhere else. We are going to sit with you, our faculty is going to sit with live proctored tests, and we are going to make sure that you have a live experience before you actually enter that exam hall, and you're fully equipped with everything that you need to know. And you'll also be getting lifetime recordings of all of the live sessions. So even if your attempt is over, for example, if you're giving your May attempt and you want to continue further with your August attempt, you're always going to be having the recordings with you. It's for a lifetime. You can always go back and brush up your concepts. Coming to the batch details in the next slide. So we have two batches for the full course, English and Math. The one is the weekday batch, which is for 5 weeks. That starts on 5th of May. It will be Monday to Friday, 6 to 7:30 p.m. And the next batch is the weekend batch for 8 weeks, starting around 16th April. It's just started since today is 23rd. We're just done with the orientation. And if you all still feel like you want to join, please go ahead and join it, because the faculty can, get you to speed with whatever's happening. Not much has happened. It's on Saturdays and Sundays. Saturday 6 to 8:30 will be waiting for you. And on Sunday, it's in the morning, 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. And coming to the next slide, I think next slide is something that you all will be very interested in, is the crash course. So our crash course is 18 hours of live coaching with recordings. That is, again, a lifelong access with proctored tests, unlimited doubt solving, direct contact with faculty, full syllabus revision, one mock test with a detailed feedback of where you need to improve, where you don't need to improve, what are the things, what are the tips and tricks, right? SAT is not an academic test. SAT is basically based on concept. It's based on logic, and it's based on how fast and how smart you work with your tips and tricks. So we'll have one mock test with detailed feedback and 400 plus practice questions. What better way to start preparing and to get done with your preparation with all of this? Coming to the batch information for crash course, our start date is April 25th. That's just in 2 days. So type it in the chat box, whoever wants to join right away. And the end date will be, over here it's written May 1st, but I think it's May 2nd. So it's May 1st or May 2nd, but yep. The batch timings will be Monday to Friday, 6 to 8:15. That is 2.15 hours. And on the weekend, it'll be from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. So everything you need, it's a one-time solution. Just come, and we'll be, providing everything you ever need. So I would like to launch a poll right now, guys, to understand whether, are you liking the session? Are you not liking the session? How willing are you to join our courses with everything that we're providing? And the one thing that I can say personally is that we're very proud of the quality we provide at LEAP. Please have no doubt that whether we'll be able to finish the syllabus or not, because we will be. I think that's something that we are very, very confident about. Also, I would request everyone to please give me your answers in the poll. It'll be very helpful for all of us. And then I can let you get back to your math questions and all the complicated stuff that only your brains can solve. You can already see the answers coming in. I think you all are pretty smart people. Only 3 of them are left to give the poll. Guys, we are waiting for all of you. 20 seconds, and then we can get back to classes. All right. You can continue, sir. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much, Ume. So, guys, now it's the time to again move back to the mathematical questions. So, in the first half of this session, we mainly focused on solving quadratic equation. We talked about the steps that we need to know, the concepts and the logic behind the parabola. Now, in the second part of this session, we will be talking about one more concept. So, before I tell you what is that concept, I think it's better if I show you questions based on it. So question here is like if x varies inversely with y, what is the value of n? So I'm really expecting the answer to be coming out quickly for this question. Think about it. That's another kind of logic we are going to talk about. X is inversely proportional to y or x varies inversely with y. What is the value of n? Smita has said 4. Okay, Smita. Let me tell you, I'm also not quite sure about the answer. So I will be doing it here on the board. But what I want to teach you is, you know, so everyone please make a note. This is something that I want to teach you as I taught you for quadratic. So, this question is based on the concept of variation because we have other questions also coming based on variation. So I want to tell you a bit about it. So variation. So we have two kind of variation. One is direct variation and one is inverse variation. And I hope that looking at the term, you are already getting some idea about it. What is direct variation and what is inverse variation? Right? We have also seen the term like directly proportional and inversely proportional, right? So in case of direct variation, we say that if one of the variable increases, the other also increases. But in inverse, we say that if one increases, the other variable decreases. So directly proportional and inversely proportional. So all you need to remember that in case of direct variation, the ratio remains constant, which means x1 upon y1 will be equal to x2 upon y2. That's the case of direct variation. In case of inverse variation, the product remains constant, which means x1 y1 will be equal to x2 y2. So finally, the conclusion of this whole thing is that you have to remember that we get questions in SAT based on variation, and there are two kind of variation. One is direct, one is inverse. In case of direct variation, the ratio remains constant, and in case of inverse variation, the product remains constant. Now, coming back to this question is a case of inverse variation. So because it's a case of inverse variation, so the product of x and y is constant, which means x1, y1 will be equal to x2, y2. Now, in order to find the value of n, let's say this is x2, this is y2, and let me just pick any value as x1 and y1. Okay, so x1 is 5, so y1 is 4.8, and that should be equal to x2, y2. x2 is 3, and y2 is the value that we are looking for, which is n. So n is nothing but 5 into 4.8 divided by 3. So this is nothing but 5 into 1.6, right? And that's 5 into 1.6 is nothing but 16 into 5, which is 80. And because it's a decimal, so it should be 8, right? So n value here is going to be 8. Smita, are you getting my point? Now, whenever you are solving these kind of questions based on variation, you don't need to worry about what kind of formula you have to use. Right. You just know, okay, that's a direct variation, make the ratio constant. It's an inverse variation, make the product constant, and you will be easily getting the answer. So this is a simple question. I wanted to teach you how to apply this. Now I'm going to take one more question on the board, and that's a kind of hard question, which you have to do within 1 minute because that's a SAT exam. Question goes like, Alan drives an average of 100 miles each week. His car can travel an average of 25 miles per gallon. Alan would like to reduce his weekly expenditure on gasoline by 5. Assuming gasoline cost 4 per gallon, which equation can Alan use to determine how many fewer miles he should drive each week? How many fewer miles he should drive each week? Oh, looking at this, it is very clear that if we are going to make any kind of equation here or, something like this, that's going to take more than 2 minutes. But the SAT only gives you a 1 minute. So who all is going to give the answers in a minute? I can read the conditions for you once again. The Allen drives 100 miles each week, and the average of the car is 25 miles per gallon, and the gasoline cost 4 per gallon. Assuming that he would like to reduce the weekly expenditure by $5, then how many fewer miles he should drive? A very interesting question. You can say it is one of the difficult questions in SAT. And if we get to know how to solve this difficult questions, even without using any calculator, we are pro in it. And that is why I'm here. I want you to make you pro so that you can easily solve these questions even without calculator within a minute. But before that, giving you some time. Alok came out with A. Okay. As you all know that, solving a mathematical questions can be many ways, but what is the best way to do it within a minute? So now it's my turn. So everyone, please focus on the board and what I'm saying so that anything you find relevant, you can write it down. So the first thing that we know that Alan drives 100 miles each week. So one thing we know that he drives 100 miles. Okay, that is what we know in a week. And the average of the car is 25 miles per gallon. So can you tell me that how much fuel is required to drive 100 miles? If the car can travel 25 miles per gallon, so how many gallon of fuel is required to drive 100 miles? So in 1 gallon, you can drive 25 miles. So in order to drive 100 miles, you have, so in 1 gallon, 25. So in 100 miles, if you want to drive, you need 4 gallons, right? I think that is something easy. So he needs 4 gallon of fuel in order to drive 100 miles. And we also know the cost per gallon. So the cost per gallon is 4. So can you tell me the total cost that he need in order to drive 100 miles? So because in order to drive for the 100 mile, he needs 4 gallon, and the total cost to fill 4 gallon of fuel in the tank, the cost of 1 gallon is 4. So 4 gallon will be 4 into 4, which is 16. So finally, we are down to one thing that in order to drive 100 mile, okay, now I'm coming back to the very important part. In order to drive 100 mile, the total cost he has to spend is 16. I hope you all will agree with me, $16. The question is talking about that he want to reduce the weekly wage by 5. So how many fewer miles he should drive? How many fewer miles he should drive each week so that he can save 5? So guys, you tell me one thing. If the number of miles he is going to drive will increase, the cost of driving the mile will increase or decrease. If you want to drive for more miles, you need to spend more cost or less cost. Very easy question, quickly. If the number of miles will increase, the cost that you are going to spend will increase, which means if you are going to drive for more miles, you have to pay more cost. So that's the case of direct variation. Yes or no? When one of the variable increases, the other also increases. And in case of direct variation, what remains constant? The ratio remains constant. M1 upon C1 is equal to M2 upon C2. What is M? M is the number of miles he is driving, and C is the cost he has to pay, right? Or C is the cost he has to spend. Now, you know that when M is 100, if you take 100, the cost he has to spend is 16. But how much he has to save? He has to save 5, which means he has to save 5. So let's say whatever miles he was driving in that $5, he should not be driving it now, isn't it? Because if he has to save 5 rupees or $5, so whatever miles he's going to drive in that amount, he should not be driving it. Only then he will save 5, right? M2 is M is nothing but the miles he was able to drive in $5. So M value will come out to be just by cross multiplying 100 into 5 over 16, and that is the value of M. So what is M? M is nothing but 100 into 5 over 16. If you want to simplify, you can simplify a bit, like 4, 4, 16, and 4, uh, this is going to be 25 times. So M is equal to 25 into 5 by 4. That is the value of M. Now just look at the answer choices. If you look for option D and you find the value of M is nothing but 5 into 25 divided by 4, which is the exactly same thing you got using the concept of variation. So this has to be your answer. Because if you look for option C will give you M is equal to 95 into 25 by 4. But as per our working, M has to be 5 into 25 by 4. So C, B, and A is not the answer. D is the answer. We have just done this question in this short frame using the concept of variation. Smita and all the people who are here, are you getting the point that how to use this? The question is not going to tell you that whether it's a direct variation or it's an inverse variation, but you logically have to think, okay, if I have to drive more mile, I have to pay more cost. So miles increases, cost increases, which means it's a case of direct variation. And in case of direct variation, the ratio remains constant. All you need to do is to put the value and quickly you are down to the answer. Otherwise, if you go and frame the equation, I can bet no one can come out with the equation that can give you the answer within a minute, right? This is about it. And the last question for the day here, and then I have something more to tell you. So think about it, how you can do this question again within a minute. It feels really good when you are at least giving a try to the questions, and that is what matters. We should never worry about that right or wrong answers. It's all about the involvement in the class that matters. The people who show involvement in the class, they definitely get to learn by the end of the day. And it feels so good to see that, yes, everyone is busy in solving the question. The ratio of the number of revolutions of the two gear is this. Gear A is turned by motor. The turning gear A causes gear B and C to turn. If gear A is rotated by a motor at a rate of 100 RPM, what is the number of revolutions per minute for gear C? Okay, Mohammed is coming with C, Niharika is coming with D. And what do we know? We know that gear A is rotating at 100 RPM. The RPM of gear A is 100. And what we need the RPM of gear B. That is what we need. Okay, Alok is saying it's D. So I think, first of all, I would like to appreciate you all that you all tried this question. That's great. And now we can learn that how to do this question in an easy way. Let's say all this information is of no use to me. This all information, okay? The only thing that is used to me is the figure. So the first question that comes to my mind and to yours mind looking at the figure, tell me one thing. If the diameter of the gear will increase or the size of the gear will increase, the number of revolutions will decrease or it will increase. Means which gear will rotate faster? Gear A will rotate faster or gear B will rotate faster? B is large, A is small. So which will rotate faster? Very good, very good. So gear A is going to rotate faster, right? So which means one thing we can say that if the size of the gear will increase, the size of the gear will increase, the number of RPM that or the number of revolutions that the gear is making in 1 minute will decrease, right? If size is more, RPM is less, which means it's a case of inverse variation because one is increasing and the other is decreasing. And we have just talked about that in inverse variation. What remains constant? The product remains constant, which means S1 into R1 is equal to S2 into R2. Now, what is S1? S1 is the size of the gear, right? And the size of the gear, if the gear is large, it will have more teeth, isn't it? The size, if the gear is large, for example, B has a greater size, it has more number of teeth compared to gear A. So if size is more, means the teeth is more. So in place of size, I can say that, okay, if the number of teeth is more, it means the RPM will decrease. So the teeth, if the number of teeth on the gear will increase, the RPM will decrease. Teeth is directly related to size. So which means it is case of inverse variation. So where the product remains constant, T1 R1 equal to T2 R2. What is T1? T1 is the teeth on the gear, R is the number of RPM it is making. Now we have to just look for gear A and gear C. So in gear A, the number of teeth is 20 and the RPM is 100. And we have to find for gear C, the gear C has the number of teeth as 10, and we have to find the RPM, which is the value of R. So R is nothing but that's 20 into 100 divided by 10. So 10 times 100, so 200. So the number of RPM that gear C will be making, C will be making is 200, which is option C. So do I really need to care about all the wordy information which is given here? No, I just need to worry about my variation part and the logic part. If the size will increase, RPM will decrease, inverse variation, product constant, and we are done with the question within seconds. And that too, without losing any accuracy. Getting my point? Okay, so this is what is SAT. This is what I wanted to tell you. SAT is more about pacing and using the right kind of ways that you can do it without, falling into the trap answer. Okay, so guys, this is how we teach you in the classes. This is how the course we give you, and this is the kind of content we give you. So our motive here for taking all these classes is just to frame a path, just to show you that if you are really aiming for SAT, then how you need to go about it. Okay, so this is from my side. We will keep on coming with these kind of sessions, but before we close on, there's something I would like to I would like Ume to tell you. So Ume, yes, please.
Yes, sir. I think we can move to the next slide. Just 1 second. I'm not able to open the video. Yes. And before we move on to the advising program, guys, let me know how was the session in polls. I've launched another poll, and I promise it's going to be the last poll for the evening. Did you like it? How was it? Did you enjoy? Was it helpful? Did you learn something new? Something you haven't, did you learn new tricks on how to solve the questions that you probably might have seen in your classroom? Yes, no, quickly in the chat box, guys. Come on, I need some energy from all of you. How is it going to happen if you all are non-interactive? Okay, it takes so much time to type yes or no. All right. I would just recommend everyone to please take the poll. Meanwhile, I'll take you through the global advising program. So LEAP also does counseling, which is, in my opinion, very important because it helps you find the right guidance for your career. We have an extracurricular profile development that's going to be undertaken by our team of mentors and counselors. We have summer plannings, securing a summer program, internships, placement. We help with all of that. We also give you access to exclusive essays. We help you to write SOPs as well. We also help you with portfolio development, with list of university list development, university research, what field, which university should you look into, what are the best universities. And it is for all. It is for the United States, for Canada, for UK, you name it, and we'll be there to help you out through it. And coming to the next slide on what we provide, we also provide, a standardized testing timeline so that, it helps you further with achieving your scores earlier. We also help you with college admission interview. That is, I think, very, very important. We help you find scholarships. We also help you find financial aid, assistance with SOP, like I mentioned, and reviewing of application, which is something like very important. Because SOP is something that the universities do carefully look into. We also advise on student loan, bank accounts, remittance, accommodation, anything you'll ever need, we are going to be there to provide you with, and assistance with selecting a school and confirming your seat. Almost all of everything that you can think of that you will be needing for getting your college admissions, we provide you that. Also, we provide help with visa interviews, right? So if you're looking into US or Canadian universities or UK universities, they do take visa interviews, and how to prepare for it, or every guidance that you'll require for your visa interviews is also given by us. So I highly recommend that you join us as soon as possible, so that we can help you to reach your dream school and your dream career. And just to give you a glimpse of what our mentors are all about, we have Aryan, who is one of our counselors, and she's a graduate from Harvard itself. Harvard is an Ivy League college, one of the top ranked colleges in the world. I'm pretty sure everyone's heard of Harvard. And she's also an alumni of Georgetown University, which is again one of the top ranking universities in the world. She's also a board member of Harvard Alumni Entrepreneurs. So I think Aryan is one of the counselors that can really, really help you achieve your dream college. So that was all about our global advising program. And before we end this session, I would like to open the discussion for any questions you all have regarding your SETs, regarding your college admissions, your applications, anything at all. I am here to answer. If not, we can end the session, but I'll give you all like 1 or 2 minutes to type in. And it can be anything, guys, like anything that pops up in your head about anything at all, please type in so I can help you through it. Meanwhile, I have not seen any replies on how did you like the session in the chat box. No answers, guys. No questions also. So all of you are pretty pro at it. Alok is saying 5-star session. Thank you so much, Alok. We're glad you loved it. And Smita, thank you so much. Date of TOEFL. Pranjali, this is something that I'm not sure I can help you with. Date of TOEFL, I think you can look it up at TOEFL's official website. Also, since you've mentioned TOEFL, I'd just like to mention this one thing is that IELTS and TOEFL is not really required. Your SAT is going to suffice if you're planning on US and Canadian universities, though IELTS is a compulsory required entrance exam for applying into UK universities. So I think that is one advice that I can give you. And Niharika, how can we improve our CV? So Niharika, a lot goes on into profile development, right? Academics is just 50% of it. Your SAT scores are going to help you boost your profile, but there's a lot of extracurriculars that you have to focus on, like, taking a course or an internship, doing volunteering work also looks really good on the profile. What competitions have you, participated in? What have you achieved throughout your academic life is something that is needed. And sports, right? Sports is also something that if you're planning for Ivy Leagues, if you're planning for top rated colleges in the world, then they do look into your sports and how much you're involved in all of that. So basically extracurricular is 50% of your profile development, and we highly advise that you all do focus on extracurriculars. And also one thing I'd like to mention here is in our global advising program, we also give you we also get you courses that you can do, and we also help you with volunteering work and with internships if that is required to build your profile. So I think that's also one benefit of our advising program. I hope I answered that, Niharika. Alok, I want to go into Ivy League, so ma'am, how will the subscription help me? Okay, Alok, so Ivy Leagues are 7 in the world, and they are one of the best colleges in the world, right? Nothing beats an Ivy. So what I can say is, how can we help you further? First things first, your SAT score. They really care for your SAT score. And if you are looking into going into Ivy Leagues like Harvard, then you will require a score of more than 1500 plus, Alok. So that's one thing that we can help you achieve. We're very sure of that. The second thing is profile development, right? So like I mentioned in Niharika's answer, there's a lot that goes on to profile development, your extracurriculars, what have you achieved? The documentation of your extracurriculars is also one way to present your CV, and that also does matter. So if you are asking me for subscription of the global advising program, I have just listed down how it's going to help you, right? I listed down a number of things, so you don't really have to worry about anything. And if you're talking about a SCT plus course or a crash courses, then we can help you get the SCT score that is required to get admission into Ivy. So I hope I answered that. And you're most welcome, Niharika and Alok. Sure. Any other questions, guys, that you would like to ask? If not, then we can end the session. I'll wait for about 1 more minute. No questions? Or are you all busy typing? Okay. What is the minimum score to crack Ivy Leagues in SCT? 1500 plus, Alok. The minimum requirement is 1500 plus for Ivy Leagues. Also, Alok, meanwhile, we are talking about Ivy. Is there any particular Ivy League that you are planning to get admission into? Because MIT, all right. So Alok, MIT is not an Ivy League college, but Massachusetts Institute of Technology is ranked first in the global rankings of universities. But MIT is not an Ivy League college. Ivy League colleges are Princeton, Harvard, Yale, Brown, Columbia, Dartmouth. These are Ivy League colleges. MIT does not count, but MIT does stand above Harvard. So yeah, and all the very best, Alok. Hope you do get into MIT. It's a dream college. It's an amazing college. Any other questions, guys? You're welcome, Alok. What is the margin of the University of California? Okay, Smita, so University of California is like ranked, I think, around 12 in the global ranking list. And the cutout for that will be around 1400 plus. If you get a score of, say, like 1450, 1470, that's a really good score to get into University of California. It also depends on the field that you're getting into, but a 1400 plus score is definitely going to get you into University of California. And if you're looking for it, all the very best, Smita. Yep. Any other questions, guys? You're welcome, Smita. And how about Stanford? Okay, so Stanford is ranked second in positioning of rankings, and Stanford will require a score of 300 plus. So I'll give you the ranking list for top 5, right? So it's like first is MIT, second is Stanford, third is Harvard, fourth is Yale. So it goes like that, right? So if you are looking into top 10 universities in the world, then it will require a much higher score, at least 1500 plus to get into Stanford. And Alok, you're asking how to choose the right courses. Alok, I think this is a question that our advisors and our counselors in the program can really help you with. They can really help you find the right course, find the right university for the course. But the one advice that I can give you right now is go where your heart is taking you. What is something that you think you are good at, or not even good at? What's something that you enjoy studying, you enjoy doing, and you can see a career building over it? I think that's the advice I can give you for choosing the right course for your university. It's all about what your heart says. Always listen to what your heart is saying. Any other questions, guys? Does English proficiency test like TOEFL and IELTS is necessary for Ivy League? No, Pranjali, it's not. Ivy Leagues do not require TOEFL or IELTS. However, if you do want to give any of them, you can give TOEFL. I think Ivy Leagues prefer TOEFL over IELTS if you're planning on US Ivies. So yeah, you can give TOEFL, but it's not a compulsion. It's not necessary. But you do it, it basically helps you in profile development. It does show how good you are at excelling academically. So yeah, it is a good thing to give if you want. It's not compulsory. You're most welcome, Pranjali. Any questions? Okay, last 1 minute, guys, and then we can end the session. So type in quickly whatever your questions are. Hope my answers are helping all of you. Do you keep English sections? Krishna, yes, we have in our course, we do both. We cover the syllabus of math and English. If you take a full course, even in the crash course, both English and math has been taken up. It's not that we are just doing math or we're just doing English. We have both. And if you're preferring only English, if you want only English, then that is also something that we provide. We also provide one-on-one sessions. If that is something you all are looking forward to, one-on-one personalized sessions can also be done at Leap, and specific English sessions can also be taken. If you're looking forward to just studying SAT English, we can do that for you as well, Krishna. You're most welcome, Smita. And Smita, you'd mentioned that you want to join our course. Is that right? If yes, please type in your names. Also, everyone who's interested in joining our course, I am typing down the details of the contacts of our team. Either you can contact our team directly, or you can submit your name right now in the chat box, and I'll tell my team to contact you ASAP, guys. So do let me know. Just 1 second. I'll just type down the contact details. Here you go. And you're most welcome, Krishna. Yep, these are the contact details that you can contact our team on. If you have any further questions, please go ahead and ask. My parents will look into this. All right. So, Smita, do you have a particular number for your parents that our team can contact? If our team talks to your parents, they'll help you. They'll be able to help your parents get a better brief on what exactly we provide and how it's going to help you. So if you could just do that for me, Smita, it'll be amazing. It'll be really helpful. Okay. Any other questions meanwhile? Okay. No questions. All right, Smita, just tell me yes or no if you'll be able to type down your parents' number, or we could end the session in around 20 to 30 seconds if you all don't have any further questions. Okay, thank you so much, Smita. This is really helpful. And our team will get back to you either by tonight or either tomorrow morning. Alok, you're saying yes, ma'am. Yes for joining our course, Alok, or do you have further questions for me to answer? I'll wait for another 20 seconds for you, Alok. And Niharika, you've raised a hand. Is there a question you want to ask? For course. All right, Alok. So if you want to join our course, I will tell my team to contact you by tonight or by tomorrow morning at the latest. And Alok, the number that you've registered in our master classes, is that the number that we should contact you on? Or is there a specific number for your parents or for you that our team can contact you? If yes, please let me know and we'll do the needful. No, I'm registered here. All right, Alok, perfect. So my team will contact you and they'll get in touch with you. All right, I think it's time that we end our session. Thank you so much for joining in. Hope you all had an amazing session with us. We're waiting for you at our next masterclass. That's also on Monday at 4 p.m. And we are always waiting for you at our courses or at our global advising program to help you and to guide you to your dream school. Thank you so much for joining, guys. Please take care of yourselves and hope you all have an